Thriller Bark was so essential because it was about everyone except Luffy. I mean, the whole thing was a build up to a fight scene against Luffy. Oda was just handing out top tier fight scenes and moments like he was trying to make a statement. And you could argue he had to. There are 2 new Straw Hats, 2 newly reformed Straw Hats, and you can't leave out the old new Straw Hats that can't be forgotten about. Thriller Bark focuses on the development of the rest of the crew, and oh, what a coincidence. It follows the arc that was all about internal personal growth. Just this one time, Luffy is not the driving force. And to be honest, that's a new angle for One Piece fans who have, at this point, watched 300 episodes of the show. We got a new ship, 9 Straw Hats, and 1 giant story to tell over 5 volumes. So a whole arc dedicated to 8 out of 9 Straw Hats comes in clutch. But it definitely didn't seem that way at first. I deadass had to check multiple times if I was watching Thriller Bark or Filler Bark, because this arc started out so not serious. But by the end, the most serious Marine drops a serious punishment on the most serious Straw Hat. And after the end, a serious amount of One Piece lore and callbacks are just dropped on our heads. Watching Thriller Bark is like riding a slow-paced indoor Disney attraction with a 100-foot drop at the end of it. How thrilling. And hopefully, this video will be as thrilling as Thriller Bark itself. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to The Praise Show, a place where we give our anime and gaming opinions while doing a little bit of animated and gaming ourselves. And I am continuing on my journey of watching all of One Piece. And I'm getting proud of myself because I'm at the point now where I can say I watched a significant chunk. I am watching this show like a madman, really going through it. And Thriller Bark was legitimately one of my favorite arcs. During the week, you'll see me streaming with my friend Dex, who has watched a lot more One Piece than me. And before we cut on the cameras to start streaming, I always tell him about where I am at with One Piece at the moment. When I said that I was on Thriller Bark, he mentioned that there are some people out there that apparently don't like Thriller Bark. And then it hit me, because I'm watching One Piece decades later, and I also don't have a Twitter account and not really into the online One Piece community outside of my comments section, I realized that I'm kind of experiencing One Piece like in like a solo echo chamber with my own thoughts. So when he says that there are some people that don't like Thriller Bark, I love Thriller Bark, like immediately going into it. We just left super serious arcs. Thriller Bark not taking itself seriously in the beginning, most of the time, was just fine to me. But I'll have a lot of time to rant about that for the rest of the video. Please like the video, please leave a comment because you guys are my One Piece community. And I can see a lot of y'all are not subscribed. Hopefully, by the end of this video, I can convince y'all to subscribe to the channel. Now that we said our piece, let's get straight into this with quick 30-second summary. The Straw Hats kind of get lured into a dense fog, and then out of nowhere, they meet Brook, who was a part of a former pirate crew from decades ago, and he's a living, walking, talking skeleton because he got a second chance at life because of a devil fruit. The whole crew stumbles onto Thriller Bark, a haunted house type of place. And to make a long story short, Dr. Hogback and Moria, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, are working together to make an undead army. The Straw Hats get separated like they always do, but end up working together to fight a whole army of zombies. They defeat Moria, Brook gets what he's looking for in his shadow back, and then Brook joins the crew. But after Thriller Bark, Admiral KUMA comes to wipe out the Straw Hats. But then Zoro and Sanji kind of offer to be a sacrifice to let the rest of the Straw Hats leave the island safely. Zoro is badly injured. Luffy meets up with his grandpa again, and it's kind of like a happily ever after with the Straw Hats getting treasure and a new pirate crew member. There is a full roster now. Gone are the days where Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji are going to save Nami from Arlong Park. But let's focus on the 2 reformed Straw Hats from the last arc, Robin and Usopp. Usopp is now a proven fighter who's cool now. And it's getting to that time where we gotta discuss Usopp's place in like the fighting tier list. Oda uses Usopp's flaws, which were a big stumbling block for him in the last 2 arcs, to be his biggest asset in this arc. Chef's kiss. There's a girl who uses ghosts to make people feel negative. The negative girl can't make Usopp any more negative, which is a positive. And I like how Usopp is using the Sniper King alter ego persona vigilante as a solution to the old Usopp's problems. Also, a good benefit of watching the English dub version is that Sniper King's whole voice changes and everything. And it's actually pretty funny. Usopp's previous arc was about him overcoming his old feelings of uselessness. So Usopp needed to put belt to ass this arc to just reassure everyone and even himself that he was overcoming that old obstacle. It's a whole lot easier to root for Usopp while fighting now after Enies Lobby in Water 7. As a matter of fact, he, Chopper, and Nami directly face their fears. And even though you could argue that Usopp, Chopper, and Nami is the sorriest possible collection of Straw Hats fighting wise, they all find a way to be useful on the field and off the field. Robin, on the other hand, is now a fully cherished member without any hidden reservations that I know. And I feel like that was exhibited when she teamed up with Frankie to fight Tehran, the zombie general. I know, Frankie and Robin is a pretty weird combination, but it worked. And speaking of Frankie, let's focus on the two new Straw Hats. Frankie is learning how to act like a Straw Hats when before he's just spent a lot of time observing and working really close with them. And a scene that I really liked and really appreciated was when Luffy appeared to have died. And Frankie understandably just said, Luffy appeared to have died. And then Chopper really checked him and told him to never doubt Luffy or even insinuate that he's dead. The smallest member of the group, arguably the weakest member of the group, checked the biggest physical member of the group and really taught him how to be a Straw Hat pirate. And this is Frankie's first action since he joined, so I thought it was real fitting. And the thing is, you didn't have to add that scene in, Oda, but you did, and because you did, it made everything feel so much better. And in terms of Brook is now in my top 3 of favorite Straw Hats. He's cooler than I thought he'd be, he's funnier than I thought he'd be, and oh my goodness, he's Laboon's owner. I thought those people died off screen and we would never see them again. I thought that they were like just painted to be as assholes. This was the biggest bomb dropped on me at this point in Thriller Bark, and I had to go back to look and see if there was a guy on the ship from the whole Laboon story arc with a giant afro, and lo and behold, there was. I mean, sometimes while watching One Piece, I just blow my own mind, because tying Brook to Laboon and wanting to keep his afro and everything, that was just brilliant. And also, Binks Brew has been stuck in my head for weeks now. Seeing all the Straw Hats work together without Luffy to fight zombie giant Luffy really showed how amazing the other Straw Hats were, not just Luffy. A fact that can be forgotten if you're not watching too closely. Luffy wasn't the main story this time around. He was not the driving force. And it was refreshing to enjoy the other crew's star moments, especially after we've spent so much time developing the other crew this whole time. In this arc, not being the driving force, Luffy was kind of used as just like a tool, a weapon for the final blow. That's how he's used for this in this arc. But after that feel-good moment, reality sets in for real. Again, in a totally different moment versus a totally different opponent, different side, different everything. Versus KUMA, the Straw Hats were left to deal with another problem without their captain. And this guy was a real threat. I legitimately did not know how this was going to end. There's a giant admiral or vice admiral, I'm forgetting his actual position, who's like a literal RoboCop, cyborg that believes the law is everything. Wait, no, scratch that. He's not an admiral. He's a 7 warlord of the sea. I forgot that. I thought he was an admiral the way he was acting, but no, he's a 7 warlord of the sea. But yeah, he's a literal RoboCop that follows the rules, follows his orders, and he got the order to kill every Straw Hat. There was no way that they were supposed to escape that. But then boom, pops in Zoro with his special moment. I said in the last video that I was developing a real respect for Zoro, and after this moment, that only grew. And watching that moment with Zoro made me feel proud to have watched this long and understood the character so well, because that decision that Zoro made was so in line with his character up to this point. It was not surprising. What was surprising was the fact that Sanji was willing to do the same thing. Sometimes Sanji can be aloof. He has a weakness for women, kind of like Brock from Pokemon. And sometimes even Sanji's best moments are hidden behind like comedic relief, especially in Thriller Bark. But to find out that Sanji is really dedicated to Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats just as much as the rest of the crew is, was crazy. And just as importantly, just as equally, Sanji has mad respect for Zoro, even though they're the biggest rival pair, rival combination in the group. As a matter of fact, they might be the only rival combination in the group. So yeah, Turns out the best moment in Thriller Bark had nothing to do with Luffy or Thriller Bark. Now, I told you that this arc starts out not serious and then gets very serious. Let's talk about the serious parts of this arc. Number 1, Dr. Hogback. This is the first One Piece villain that I truly hated. Yeah, I didn't like Arlong, but I knew that he was gonna get his comeuppance. Dr. Hogback, I feel like I truly hated, and he also didn't really get his comeuppance how I wanted him to. He couldn't get a shorty that was in a relationship with another dude, so he killed her and enslaved her after reanimating her body, making her lick the floor and stuff. That is like weirdo behavior, like real shit weirdo behavior. Really didn't add much to the story, I guess, outside of comedic relief, but I just had to say that about Dr. Hogback, and it looks like we're gonna be seeing him again. KUMA, the 7th Warlord of the Sea, seems unbeatable unless you know his power. It actually reminds me of a quirk that I seen in My Hero Academia, the sports festival, Class A versus Class B. When that guy, if you answered any of his questions or he tricked you into answering any of his questions, he could like control you. And I don't think I fully understand Kuma's power, but it seems like it's something like that. I know he's a cyborg and all, but it seems like he has 2 devil fruit powers with the whole repel compressing thing and then also the answering questions thing. So I have a lot of questions for him. But KUMA showed me how crazy, no, scratch that. KUMA reminded me how crazy One Piece world power scaling is and how Oda sticks to the power scaling system, doesn't make Luffy stronger than a 7th Warlord of the Sea or an Admiral for no reason, like magically. No, he sticks to the power scaling. Mihawk easily washed Zoro on the Barachi. Luffy lost the Crocodile, the 7th Warlord of the Sea, multiple times, and now Kuma's just presence checks everyone. Another serious part of this story was Moria. But Moria was just as irrelevant as Luffy was in this arc. He was really, I saw him as a typical placeholder evil villain. He didn't really make me feel a strong way, kind of like KUMA and Dr. Hogback did. But he's a 7th Warlord of the Sea, so he's like important enough to mention. And I guess a big reason why I felt this way is because he immediately lost his position upon introduction. And even Moria seemed to be checked by KUMA. And also KUMA can move really fast. So is that like a 3rd devil fruit power? Like KUMA just seems overpowered to me, in a good way though. And then another final serious part of this arc was the lore that was dropped on our heads. We find out that Garp is Luffy's grandfather. Or no, we don't find that out. I think the Straw Hats find that out. Something like that. Luffy has a pretty crazy family tree. His dad is Dragon, as we've seen. Grandfather is Garp, as we've seen. Brother is Ace, and his mentor was Shanks. Yeah. So Luffy knows a guy that knows a guy that knows Goldie Roger, who is the sole focus of One Piece, as we were reminded every time we click onto an episode where they dedicate 3 minutes of the show just to Goldie Roger. So yeah, pretty big names. I have no clue how Luffy's father is going to play into any of this. And the fact that he was in Logtown was pretty wild. I have no clue how Luffy's grandfather is going to play in all of this. Or Ace, for that matter. It's been a while since I've seen him. I think the last time we've seen him, he was on the losing end. He was kind of losing against Blackbeard. It is always good to see Helmeppo and Kobe being back and reintroduced to the Straw Hats, who have a pretty good memory. And yeah, Kobe is definitely my favorite Marine. Everybody on the world government side, Kobe is my favorite. I'm pretty sure he's actually not part of the world government because he's unranked. I think he's still like a janitor rank technically. I don't know. I forgot how that all works. But yeah, every time Kobe's on the screen, I'm feeling good. And I know that we'll see them again, probably in the whole new world that they keep talking about. Crazy how the One Piece world is divided into like quarters and it just keeps expanding. And I think another part of the lore is that Ace is in trouble now. So I guess his justified revenge plot against Blackbeard is not going too well. But whatever arc is coming in the future that deals with Ace, I know it's gonna be big because it's been foreshadowed for the longest, like since Alabasta. We've seen Shanks talk to Whitebeard, we've seen Shanks talk to Mihawk. We've seen Blackbeard get crazy strong, we've seen Blackbeard become a 7th Warlord of the Sea. So there's a lot of like background things that are being built up. And also, Luffy doesn't seem to care all that much about, oh, he cares, but he's not like pressed about it. And also really weird is that Brook is not pressed to see Laboon. If I were Brook, I would be pressed to see Laboon. Like, it's been 50 years. You don't know if he's gonna be alive or he was banging his head on a wall for 50 years. I think you should be more pressed to see the brother. But hey, Brook is a pretty laid back dude, so I'm not gonna press him. Another note, Frankie needs to shine more in the future. Yeah, he had that scene with Chopper that I referenced, but I need to see more of Frankie in the future, and I hope, I probably will see more. And then finally, Fishman Island is about to be huge. They've been talking about this since Water 7. And as of right now, in real time, I'm finishing up Sabaody Archipelago. I said that wrong a couple videos ago. So I haven't seen Fishman Island, but I know it's about to be huge because they've been talking about this for the longest. Speaking of Fishman Island, we've done Alabasta, we've done Skypiea, we did Water 7, we did Enies Lobby, now we're doing Thriller Bark. Next week, we will be doing Hunter x Hunter as a buffer. Still doing One Piece, still doing all of that, but next week will be a Hunter x Hunter video because this war arc that seems to be coming is huge. It seems like, just based off of the way that Crunchyroll divided the seasons, it's the biggest arc ever up to this point. So I'm gonna need time to watch it and need time to make a pretty fat video. So there will be a video next week, but that'll be a Hunter x Hunter video, just FYI. If you are watching this long, hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully I convinced you to subscribe to The Bread Show, especially if you're a One Piece fan, because we got a lot more coming, and Hunter x Hunter fans, because we got something for you also. Please like the video, it really helps the channel out a lot. Again, y'all are my One Piece community, so please leave a comment in the comment section. And check out the streams. Me and my boys Dex and a lot of the rest of the Fourth Branch are streaming on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and a lot of the days in between, sometimes solo. So yeah, check us out. We got a lot of stuff going on for this channel. Spread love, give inspiration in all you do, praying for blessings on all, praying for God's blessings on all of y'all. Spread positivity, think about somebody else, hold the door for somebody, do something for somebody. And peace out.
Welcome to the Crash Show. Take 2.